A tech journalist writing for one of the many very left-leaning free and open source publications out there wrote an article that was half puff piece about the Gnome desktop environment and the Gnome Foundation, and half just crazy, unhinged, wildly inaccurate rant and attack piece against yours truly. It was mostly a Lunduke hit piece. It was just there was a puff piece about Gnome as the excuse to write a hit piece on Lunduke. It was fantastic. It was just completely crazy. And then after it got posted, the Gnome Foundation's board of directors promoted it and praised it as a great read and helped to share it around to people. So I thought, you know what? I should respond. I should respond to some of the things that were said in this piece because some of it is just so wildly inaccurate. So I'm going to do that here now. In fact, this whole thing you were about to observe is the most meta, navel-gazy, inside baseball-y episode of the Lunduke Journal that I've done in quite some time. I just feel like it has to be said because this is a few reasons. One, I got to defend my honor a little bit, am I right? But two, it's just such a great example of crummy journalism. It's a spectacular example of not doing your research, of twisting and distorting facts, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to go through with some notes, not even all of them, just the highlights, and I'm going to put them out in the world. And you're welcome, by the way, to phosphorus.com, because wherever I put this, I will link to your article, which I'm guessing will make this the most read article you may have had in a very long time. All right, so this went up today. It's entitled Gnome's New Director Tackles Funding, Pride, and Prejudice. Given the current political climate in the US and parts of Europe, it's not surprising that the haters have been targeting one of open source's most beloved projects. This is written by Christine Hall, who goes online by the name Bride of Linux. She's been around for years and years. She's one of the long-term Linux covering tech journalists out there. She knows better. So she really can't be excused for some of the just terrible things she did in this article. Also, when she says the haters, she means me. She means me. Just me, only me. I'm going to skip the puff piece at the beginning about Gnome, because while it had some inaccuracies in it, it wasn't about me. So I'm going to talk about the middle part. Quote, unfortunately, not everyone in the open source community is on the inclusive bandwagon. Oh no. This includes Brian Lunduke, once a popular speaker at open source events and a journalist for Network World, but who I gotta stop right there. Okay, two things. Once a popular speaker at open source events. That is true. That's one of those amazing phrases that is both true and wildly psychotically dishonest. Because Christine knows exactly why I'm no longer a popular speaker at open source events. I used to pack the halls at these events. I'd be at the Southern California Linux Expo or the Northwest Linux Expo, or whatever Linux Expo I was at. We'd have overflow rooms set up. We'd have people literally hanging out windows and standing in bushes to catch a glimpse of the show. We'd have the biggest rooms packed with the largest audiences that the entire show would have seen that year. Eclipsing the CEOs of Canonical and Red Hat and everyone else who keynoted that year. So to say I was once a popular speaker at open source events is a wild understatement. Second, I stopped speaking at those events, and this is important, because of the huge rash of violence and death threats issued towards me by the extreme leftist activists throughout the open source world, including organizers of many open source projects who threatened me with physical violence should I appear at these events. I've had death threats issued at me galore if I should show up to them, and eventually it it just became not worth it. And usually those death threats had something to do with my religion. So what the author here left out is that her compadres threatened to kill me because I'm a dirty techno-conservative Jew, and they don't allow those at their conferences. So was once a popular speaker at open source events. Accurate. Doesn't quite tell the story though, does it? But she knew all that and chose to leave it out to twist the narrative. This is what it becomes more activism than journalism here. And she also listed that I was a journalist for Network World. That's correct. I was also an editor for Linux Journal magazine, and the Lunduke Journal brings in more eyeballs than Network World or Linux Journal ever did, combined. But she left all that out too. All right, I continue. But these days, he strives to be the Tucker Carlson of the Linux and open source. And all right, I'll let you have that one. Not quite what I'm going for, but okay. In a podcast posted on May 25th, to which we won't link. Why not? I'm going to link to you, at least from some places. But go to phosphorus.com. I don't care. Go to phosphorus.com. Give them traffic. What's the harm? He spent the entire 15-minute recording ridiculing Gnome for its stance. He attempted to argue that the purpose of Pride Month is to smoke out homophobes and transphobes for the purpose of ostracizing them. Wasn't the point I was making? I'm great. Okay. She continues. I have no doubt that Lunduke would deny that he is practicing hate speech, but he is. Okay. I'm not, but okay. You're right. I do deny that I am practicing hate speech. She just made an accurate statement there. I also have no doubt, she continues, that he's not concerned at all for the people that he claims are being hurt by gay and trans people trying to celebrate their right to be alive. But let's unpack that sentence. Holy heavens. Lunduke would deny that he is practicing hate speech, but he is, okay? I have no doubt that he's not concerned at all for the people that he claims are being hurt by gay and trans people trying to celebrate their right to be alive. What? Okay, to start with, has anyone ever heard me go out and say, you know what, man, you guys are just getting hurt because the gay and trans people are just trying to be alive. The fact that they live is hurting you so much. Never said anything even remotely like that. The fact that she's including that in here seems to be an attempt by her to frame it as I'm trying to promote them not being alive. That's crazy talk. I don't want anyone to not be alive. I've talked, it breaks my brain that sentence is so retarded. It is so obviously meant to be manipulative, to manipulate people's feelings with a bunch of fakeness all jammed in together. Am I not concerned about other people? Well, of course I'm concerned about other people, gay, trans, or not. I'm concerned about all of you, concerned about all of me. I'm concerned about the gay and trans people. Concerned about everybody. Do I care about their right to be alive? Well, I guess, yeah, I'm not saying anyone doesn't have the right to be alive. You have the right to be alive. I don't even know who you are. Who am I pointing at right now? It's on the internet. You have the right to be alive. It's crazy. She continues, but that his concerns are actually for the traffic and subscriptions that they bring to his podcast. Now, here's where I'm going to stop for a second and point something out. If you're a journalist, you got to do your research. You need to look into your assertions before you put them out there. Back them up with something, right? Now, I'm not asking for the author of this piece to post every bit of fact and detail with links and citations to all the assertions. But when an assertion like this, that I am only concerned for the traffic and subscriptions that articles specifically she's talking about a show regarding Gnome and Pride Month, right? That's what this is about, is about bringing traffic and subscriptions to my podcast. When I do shows about Gnome, those are some of the worst performing shows I have. When I do shows about IBM, or Adobe or Mozilla, man, I bring in some numbers. I rack up some sweet, sweet numbers. Those shows go viral. Those shows bring in traffic and subscription galore. When I cover Gnome, it is not for the traffic and subscriptions because it doesn't bring them. I've covered Gnome several times over the last 2 years. Some of them have performed better than others, but they're at best middle of the pack episodes, right? When I look at my podcast numbers or the video views on X or whatnot, they're about middle of the pack to bottom third in terms of performance. And they never go mega viral. Never do. Why I cover the Gnome stuff is because it's fascinating to me from a computer history perspective. Gnome is a very prominent open source project, well, very prominent. It is one of the largest and most easily recognized open source Linuxy desktop environment and application sets of software that's out there. Gnome ships with it, and Fedora and Red Hat ship with it, and most of the enterprise Linux ships with it. It's everywhere. It has a really profound impact. And when I look at how the Gnome has been handling itself financially, what they've been focusing on from a technology angle, how they've been focusing on pride, how they've been advocating for, just some really kind of awful things. They censor journalists. They do just some bizarre things. And it seems to be throwing themselves into the garbage, right? When I look at Gnome, I see a project that used to be amazingly important, and still is, but they're just kind of destroying it. And so when I cover Gnome, it's from the point of view of I'm trying to document as accurately as possible the self-destruction of an important and interesting and successful open source project. That's an interesting thing to me. And when all is said and done, however many years it takes for them to destroy themselves, I'll gather all my material and coverage together and do a little history piece on it all. That's what I'm thinking when I cover Gnome. I'm not getting traffic and subscriptions out of it. It's because I find it fascinating. But what's crazy here is this author of this piece never reached out to me. She wrote an article that was 50%-ish about just not liking me, and she never reached out to me about it. And if she would have asked me, I would have told her those details. And she could have just not used that point or included what I told her in it, and then her article would have been more factual. Her article would have been more interesting. Her article would have had more value, but she opted not to do it. This is just a pro tip for tech journalists out there, really for all journalists. Reach out to the targets that you're talking about, the topics of your pieces, whether it's an article, a show, or whatnot. They won't always respond. I mean, shoot, Gnome never responds. Mozilla almost never responds. IBM has a policy to not respond to me, but you reach out. It doesn't stop me from reaching out every single time I cover these companies and organizations, because sometimes they do. And sometimes they can provide valuable information. Sometimes they don't. But it's worth reaching out, because otherwise you're just flying by the seat of your pants here. Because clearly, not only did this author not do the due diligence, not look into the numbers from the shows to determine whether or not the statement of he's only interested in Gnome articles because of traffic and subscriptions. Like, that's crazy. That doesn't even make any sense if you look at the public numbers. But then when you know the private numbers, it's even more ridiculous. But she didn't reach out. I continue. I also think that if anyone were to listen to his words and be motivated to threaten or to actually cause harm to gay and trans people or people in any of the other groups being targeted, Lunduke would deny responsibility. It wouldn't be his fault, he would claim. He didn't tell them to threaten or hurt anybody. I gotta stop right there for a second, because that paragraph actually pissed me off a little bit. What she's referring to here is a series of attacks that have originated on the Gnome chat servers, targeted at me. A large series of them targeted at me, where people post my name along with slurs, vulgar and vile speech, grotesque and illegal imagery, just disgusting stuff, where the entire point, and they use leftist language in it, right? None of it is using any language that anyone who watches or listens to the Lunduke Journal would use. Not ever. we wouldn't be caught dead speaking like this. But leftists use these languages and these words all the time. It's just grotesque, vile, repugnant, vulgar, awful stuff. And the purpose of these attacks, which are really just a series of spammy messages that get posted with some regularity on the Gnome chat servers, is clearly just to defame me in some way. And it's supported by the Gnome people, because individuals from within the Gnome project, they ban anyone who says anything nice about me. They ban anyone who posts a link to Lunduke. They have a policy to ban for life anyone who publishes a link to one of my stories. Doesn't matter how accurate it is. Doesn't matter what the topic is. If it has the word Lunduke in it, you're banned, right? And they banned me. I went and asked a question the other day, like, I'm just trying to reach out to the executive director for comment on stuff. Block, ban for life. That's it. And then other people, including members of the Gnome board and long-term Gnome project members, regularly post vile statements, defaming, libelous statements about me, and don't get censored at all by Gnome. Not at all. So it's supported by Gnome. It's encouraged by Gnome. Gnome is attacking me. They don't get to play the victim here when they're the one doing it and encouraging it. If some of them aren't involved, that's fine. If some of them don't like it, I understand. I don't like to see vulgarity and awful stuff either. But ain't nobody from the Lunduke Journal doing it. Ain't nobody from the Lunduke Journal been encouraged to do it. It's just not how it is. Second thing. This article, where she's accusing me of encouraging people to go out and hurt people, to harm gay and trans people, was published a couple of hours after a group of Jews were firebombed in Denver, Colorado. So she saw a group of Jews get firebombed because people online encouraged them to go firebomb Jews. I mean, the activist leftists that are active supporters of Gnome actively and regularly encourage people to firebomb people with Molotov cocktails. I've documented this repeatedly. Those same people have regularly threatened to murder me. Those same people have called me a Nazi, that I should die and they should get me. The only good Lunduke is a dead Lunduke, etc., etc., etc. I've had to cancel events because the same groups of people, the activist leftists who hate Jews, regularly threaten to kill me, oftentimes referencing me being Jewish. And then some Jews get firebombed by a guy who was essentially Molotov cocktailing people. The same thing being promoted by the Gnome type people, by those open source leftist activists. And then she comes around and has the audacity of trying to claim that I have motivated anyone to harm anybody. I've never, not once, encouraged people to use violence. Not one time. Not one time. This is obscene and absurd, and she knows it. She knows what she just posted is vile, filth, disgusting. It is inappropriate, to say the least. And she goes on to say, whether inspired by Lunduke or not, transphobes, homophobes, racists, and other haters are targeting people at Gnome and making threats against people connected to the project, leaving some folks scared and everyone concerned. Again, she's talking about the attacks against me and pretending like the attacks happening on the Gnome server, which Gnome has allowed for months and months and has not taken action to stop, because if they wanted to stop it, it would stop. They would moderate it and it wouldn't be there anymore. They would create user accounts in such a way where they wouldn't be flooded with with people posting this stuff anymore, but they do not stop it. So, ergo, do they want it? They must. It's obscene. But it's most certainly not coming from the Lunduke Journal. However, people who support Gnome contributors, individuals on the Gnome Foundation board have regularly reposted and shared truly vile stuff. Vile, hate-filled, vulgar, profane on their public Mastodon accounts and whatnot. They post all sorts of filth. Just awful language, advocating for lots of hate. None of it came from the Lunduke Journal. Only from the people over there. But yet they're claiming the Lunduke Journal is the bad guy here. And of course, this one board member, Cassidy James, the Gnome Foundation board member, was like, "Oh man, this article's awesome. This is a great read. Thank you for writing and sharing it!" Exclamation point. So the official stance from the Gnome board is that if you lie about Lunduke, if you make stuff up, libel and defame Lunduke, it's a great read. Thanks. Right. I'm sorry. That's insane. It's insane. And at the same time, shoot, that same board member reshared this little juicy gem. This Pride Month, remember that if you see civil disobedience from a queer person, no, you didn't. Excuse me? Again, this came out hours, just a couple hours after some Jews got firebombed for waving an American flag and the crime of being Americans and Jewish. They got firebombed. And what did the Gnome Foundation Board of Directors share out? This Pride Month, remember that if you see civil disobedience, which remember, they encourage Molotov cocktails as civil disobedience over there on Mastodon. I've recorded that several times. From a queer person, no, you did not. Look the other way. When people throw Molotov cocktails, gross, man. Gross. So, in short, gross. This is all gross. They're all gross. Everything here is gross, and I don't like it at all. But there you go. I'm recording it. I'm putting it out there. Like I told you, this is very meta, inside baseball-y. This isn't so much news as just, ugh. See? Tech journalism. Gross. The open source leftists. Gross. Lies, slander, doublespeak, and encouragements to commit violence. That's what it all is. And it's just so much of it. And it happens so often. The Lunduke Journal covers this much of it. Like a little bitty bit of it. Heck, I'm covering this one almost just because it was about me so much. And I love talking about myself. Thank you, by the way, to all the subscribers to the beautifully named The Lunduke Journal, which you can get at the amazingly named Lunduke.com. Love that name. What can I say? Thank you so much for all the subscribers. I really couldn't do this without you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare